All right, everyone, guess who had insomnia and so got up early, had a shower, got coffee, and now it's, early video slew time for videos as usual. Also, there is probably, it's like 99% sure that I'll be actually interviewing a very special someone later. Someone who's fairly well known and been in the news lately. So I'm very privileged to be able to talk to him. I'll announce that later, though, with like a link and everything. We got to talk about the Swedish Democrats first, though, because a new poll has come out by YouGov. I think YouGov, The Economist now, showing that the Swedish Democrats, who it's a Eurosceptic sort of centrist party, they get called far-right, like they get called Nazis, but you look at their platform, they're center-left on everything other than being Eurosceptic. They appear to have taken the lead within the Swedish election that's upcoming. I believe this September is when they vote. That would be good for Sweden. It looks like they might get over a quarter of the vote and be... I believe someone claimed that this would be the first time that someone other than like their socialist party or whatever it is was the largest party in whatever coalition form since the 50s or the 40s or some insane amount of time. So Sweden is, generally far left, but here's the thing. If you've got a far left movement that would be more natural internally, but they're, Europhiles, and then you have a Eurosceptic movement, that's going to become, if it's center-left, it becomes a stand-in for whoever doesn't like the EU. It's like, yeah, we can be socialists or whatever, but the EU, it just doesn't work for us. I can understand why you would feel that way, especially after Article 13 probably passing through and fucking with the internet for anyone who's still an EU member. Well, hopefully you get a Swexit. I mean, it would be the best thing for it, really. Hopefully you get a Frexit as well. I mean, why would France want to be the junior partner to Germany? It's just unnatural. Oh, yeah, we were worried about those Germans long ago. Now we're just going to roll over. Yeah, Merkel can tell us what to do, basically, through her proxies at the Euro in Brussels. It's actually quite funny. Keeping in mind, of course, don't get cocky if you're like, you happen to be a Europhobe of some sort. Don't get cocky thinking, well, the Swedish Democrats are ahead. Wonderful. It's just one poll out of several recently. And out of like the 5 most recent polls, 3 of them still show they're like the Socialist Party or Democrats or whatever ahead. Not by a huge margin, though. It looks, if you look at the aggregate, and that's on Wikipedia, the aggregated polls show steady upwards movement for the Swedish Democrats. I have a feeling part of it does have to do with copyright law. Part of it probably has to do with the fact that the UK has been ahead of the markers economically. It hasn't collapsed in the last few years since they had their Brexit. That never happened, despite the fact that the EU's authorities and a lot of people within the UK were very, very paranoid, very afraid, and thought that they would be basically a Cabbage Patch economy right now and that they would resemble maybe some of the worst villages of Cambodia under Pol Pot. It hasn't actually happened. They have survived. Oh my goodness, they're technically sovereign now, although the negotiations will take a long time, and they're still there. How do you do this? How do you nation state? Doesn't make any sense. We were all told that Europe would devolve into war or something by now. We saw the same propaganda here. People in Europe, I don't know, if you don't pay attention to US media, around that same time we were fed the same bullshit. Oh, the UK will no longer be our ally because they're leaving the EU or something. They're gonna go rogue and end up a Russian proxy, a Russian pawn or something. And it was all very funny. Bloomberg was sort of on the forefront of this because Bloomberg lies all the time. Bloomberg, it's a daily thing for them. They're literal propaganda at this point. I keep seeing people saying, "Oh." And there's somebody earlier on with a hashtag resist description, of course, on Twitter. And they're like, by the way, I am actually partially shadow banned on Twitter. It's some new ban, QFD or something. It's like a quality filter thing. So I can't actually be on any recent news story. I don't show up in the latest feed, which means I'm relying upon other people to spread my shit posting. So yeah, Twitter decided I was a problem. But this person on there, they're like hashtag resist, and they're like, oh no, globalists don't cause proxy wars. No, hegemonists, I guess that's the newspeak term for anyone who's not a globalist. And I'm like, how totally wrong can a person be? How fucking propagandized can your mind be that you actually have come to believe that? 10 years ago, you'd see all the liberals, they'd be called like Nazis now. They'd be like called nationalists for being against war and saying, hey, maybe post-national authority is not a good idea. Maybe it's inherently abusive, corporatized, because governments are inherently abusive and tied with corporations. No, of course you wouldn't understand that. So the Swedish Democrats are rising up. I think it's good. Euroscepticism needs to be on the rise because here's the thing, and I pointed this out I think like 3 years ago. It doesn't matter if you're governed by a left-wing or a right-wing regime, like you go to maybe Greece or you go to Spain. Quite far left. It's like, we hate austerity and we're getting screwed by the euro and stuff, and it's Euroscepticism. You go to certain parts of Europe, and because it's more about the migrant crisis or something like that, or birth rates or bureaucracy and taxes, they tend to be right-wing movements, like in Germany. The Eurosceptics of Germany tend to lean right. It doesn't matter, though. It's not even fundamentally. If you have a post-nationalist authority that's making all your rules, what does it matter what the local government does? You have to break free from the EU. Then you bicker over what form your new sovereign government is going to take. Now that you've freed yourself of those shackles, you can actually have that debate. It's like within the UK. UK is part of the EU. Would they even be able to hold a referendum? Like if the North Irish did want to return to being part of Ireland, would they be able to do that if the UK is under the auspices of the EU anyway? Would the EU's people in Brussels have a say over them and say, no, well, you can or cannot hold this vote. We will or will not recognize the results if you do. You have to have sovereignty in order to determine what course your nation is going to go into. If that means you want to be a communist nation, you want to be like National Socialists, or you want to like a centrist, like a Republican-style government, social democracy. You want to have a theocratic system. You want to have some imam running your country. You want Sadiq Khan to run it. Okay, well, you have to be sovereign in order to actually make that decision. It doesn't mean that your decisions are always good or always right, but it's better because at least at a more local, regional level, as opposed to a continent-wide level, you are determining that for yourself. It doesn't impact people across the border in other states. They don't speak the same language. They don't have the same culture or economic needs. That's about all. Peace out.